Hey everybody, Andy here. Happy Thursday. Glad to be on my regularly scheduled day and time to help you build a career you love. Hopefully you're here with me live, but if you're watching on the recording, hey to you too. So if you are here with me live, get in the chat, say hi. Let me know who you are, where you're from, what you do, what you need. Put some question marks in front of your questions. If you're in one of my programs, like my boot camp, let me know that, or my leadership program, or if you are jumping in on this resume mega special that I have, let me know that too. I'll tell you more about that in a few minutes. You know, I've been up for like, I don't know, 8.5, almost 9 hours, and I haven't had any caffeine. So I had to go fast. So the first few questions that I answer, if I'm not totally on my game, you're gonna have to forgive me. And if I totally flub it up, I'll circle back and re-answer them. Those of you that are, say, 20, 30 minutes into the show, I should be fine by then. But great to have you. Say hi. And supporting my Gordy's brothers today, one of my favorite little jamming places up in Fontana, Lake Geneva area in Wisconsin for all you Green Bay Packer fans that are going to watch the game tonight. All right, hey, let's get right into it. I see that, let me see, Bianca Gutu. Hey to you, how are you? Hey Andrew, I'm interviewing for a job where I got contacted by a recruiter, no ad, and the specs were vague. That's okay, it's okay, so far so good. When I went in at the first interview, I had the feeling I was the first person they spoke to. Still okay. Interview went great, so far so good, I love this. I'll stop this now, I'll just read the question. Manager was very pleased that I understood the role was better than they could explain. Now it's been 10 days since, and they want me to talk to yet another manager, but no booking. And now the recruiter posted the job online with the details that I helped the manager flush out. I feel like they're stalling and they want to cast a wider net while keeping me warm. What do you think? Yes, 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 and it's all okay. So, Bianca, the good news is that they found you early, you got in there, and you got to establish a relationship with them, and I'm guessing you're gonna have more interviews. When you get into a process, one of the questions I always want you to ask is, where are you in the process? How many candidates have you interviewed? Why is the position open? All those great questions that I tell you to ask in your recruitment screen, they were upfront about it, and the fact that you helped them identify the requirements only plays to your favor because you know you can do these things. I hope that's the way you set it up. So I think it's important that the company actually does their due diligence and evaluates as many candidates as they seem that is reasonable. On the one hand, I like people to know, I want you as a job seeker to know what you want so that when you see it, even if it's the first company that you evaluate, that you'll know it's the one for you. But it's always better if you have an option to investigate further, research further. We all have more options than we know or than we think we have. With an employer, it's no different. So I have no issue with them wanting to interview other candidates. The only thing that I want to make sure that they do from an employer's perspective is communicate with you. You're first in, we really like you, we hit it off, we feel like we want to go through our process and our due diligence. I hope you understand. It's not about keeping you warm, because it's not, that expression has negative connotations, but I think if they keep you engaged and they communicate with you, hey, Bianca, we've got some other candidates we're going to be interviewing next week. We're going to pick 3 of you to go on to the next round the week after. If they're doing those things, that's appropriate and that's a sign of a good company. So I like all of what you said. So it's really in your interpretation of their behavior, but as long as they're communicating, that's thumbs up with me. So I hope that helps. At least shed some additional light. Joseph, what do we got here? The job description for a QA engineering role I'm interviewing for did not mention that I would be the first QA hire and that I would have to implement all the processes and groundwork for this new department. Again, I'm loving this. I don't know where this is going. I found this out after the first interview because this was not mentioned in the job description. How much of a salary bump would I be able to ask for if the range was set to 107 to 100 to 107. Okay, these are completely independent items. I have no issue that the salary, or sorry, the description was not explicit. I would have preferred that they say it is your job to establish a new department. Now, let me offer you an explanation of why they didn't do that. I'm speculating, of course, because I'm reading your couple hundred characters and I don't know who the company is. But when an organization is building out a unit, any unit, doesn't matter if it's QA or product development, makes no difference. If they have not put something like that in the description, what they're doing is they're hoping that they will attract people from a variety of levels. So if I get a great QA engineer and that person is not equipped to build out the unit, I might say to them, I'd like to hire you. We don't have the boss yet, but would you still be open to joining the team as we build this out? Some companies will do that. Other companies will insist that the first hire be the manager. I'm actually okay with both, although I think it's better to give the manager that you hire the opportunity to build out his or her team. So they see you, they say, this guy could probably run the unit. We want you to build it out. We want you to put the protocols and the processes in place and those kind of things. And regarding, so that's an internal insider's thought of why something might be happening the way it's happening. That's for both of you that I just mentioned, Bianca too. And in your case though, your salary that they pay you, sign-on bonuses, management by objective bonuses, whatever it might be, are going to be dependent on you. The experience you bring to the table, how you show them you're going to add value, and all the other umpteen things that I explained to you and how to make the best argument for what you're worth. I don't know what percentage they're going to give you in an increase. They may say, we think you're worth 105, but we think you can run the team. They might be that. It might be somebody else who's more expensive, and they say, no, we know we're going to have to kind of come up to the 130 zone where you are. So I can't give you a flat answer. It's going to be dependent on how well you sell yourself. I would say check out the salary negotiation playlist on my YouTube channel. I don't think you're a boot camper, although your name is very familiar, but I don't think so. But check out my salary negotiation playlist. Tony Proya, my man, great to see you on Friday, and all the other Floridians at Frenchie's. Buddy, was that a great time or what? Man, I love shaking a hand and popping down the beers. And oh my God, look, there's Jim R, but then there's Bethany, who also made it to the meetup. I loved seeing you too. Glad you got home safely. Make sure you check your phone for texts when Coach Andy's checking in on you to make sure you made it home safe. Oh, great to see you. Jetting Chen, what do we got here? My boot camper. So boot campers, put your hashtags in, although I know you. In contrast with interviewing with hiring manager prior to screening call with HR, how much about company should one research? How much is, it's not a matter of how much, because it depends on how much information is available in their digital footprint, how resourceful you are. If it's me, what I do is I will spend as much time as is absolutely necessary to be fully ready for that first screen, because I never know, with the research that I obtain and the information that I get, what questions it might lead to, and they might lead to questions that I want to ask right in the screen. So I can't give you a finite number of hours. I might research a company 6 hours, 8 hours. I might do it 8 minutes. It really depends on who the organization is, but fact of the matter is, I'm going to go through all the prepping that I teach you in the boot camp, literally from the first module, all of module 4, the interviewing stuff, so modules 1 and 4, I would do all of that stuff before I ever went to a screen. Maybe that's a better way to tell you. Deb, how are ya? And Carlos, what's the good word? Can you use moving country for 8 months of the year and away from the family as a financial factor to increase your salary, or does it not matter one iota? Okay, Carlos, here's how I would say this. The thing that matters to the employer is the value you're going to contribute. I want you guys to, I really want you to get these points here. And as a matter of fact, not to go too far off the side rail here, I'm going through an entire talk in my leadership coaching program on November 12th. And we're talking about how to negotiate a pay raise. And I'm going to go into all the science behind the emotional factors and all the other things that you need to do when you're negotiating. Consider this a mega on top layer from all the tactics that I teach you in negotiating your first salary with a company like the one Carlos is mentioning here. Now, this is how it goes. In terms of how much they want to pay you and what they consider in the early parts of the recruitment process and all the way up until the very, very end, it's all going to be about how much they value what you can do. So how much do I value the position and what am I willing to pay for that? And what do I think Carlos can contribute in terms of value in relation to that? This is really important that you understand this, because if I only value a position at $10,000 a month, even though you earn 15 and you think you're worth more, I don't really care. I value it at 10. I'll get somebody to do it for 10. That's what I mean. So in the one hand, it makes no difference what you earn or the value that you can contribute. You need to sniff that out early in the process. Let's say you're going through the process. Now you get down to the end, and let's say I'm willing to be convinced that I could value the job at more than 10K a month. If you can convince me that you can contribute more than 10K in ROI, right? 20K in ROI, 50K in ROI, 100K in ROI. The more you can show me the value you can contribute in relation to how I value it, I'm going to pay more. What's another analogy? The job search bootcamp costs $597, or a lot of times I'll give it to you for $497, right? You might not value it no matter how much it helps you. So I have to convince you that it's going to be worth more to you to pay the 500 bones, right? So how do I do that? What do I show you, right? What it'll do for you, how it can transform your life, how it's transformed other lives, right? I have to go into my argument, right? That's what I do. How I sell myself, how I sound coherent when I'm responding to questions on Thursday in the middle of the day, right? All that stuff. You're doing all that through the interviewing process. Now, when you get down to the end, this is the part you've been waiting for, but I needed you to have this context. Up until the very, very end, that's all I cared about. Now, what happens to me is I get emotional about hiring you. All right? I got to have Carlos. You know what, that Carlos guy, we're going to go out and have beers together. He's a super dude, and I really like him. And I do think he's going to add the value. Okay, now I'm presenting an offer to you. Now we become a team. What do teams do? They work together to achieve a common goal. What does it take to work together to achieve a common goal? And you got boyfriends and girlfriends, husbands and wives, right? What do? I value going out here on only this much, but my wife values it more, right? I had a living room that was painted perfectly. She wanted it painted different colors, right? So I don't value it at the amount of thousands of dollars I have to pay to paint the room. But I value the relationship with her, and I want to be happily married. What do? Of course, I give in, right? That's what employers do. Because where you live and all that other stuff doesn't mean a hill of beans to me. But now we're a team. So now I want to listen to your issue because I care about getting it solved, because I care about the relationship. I'm talking about the over and above relationship, okay? So I know it's kind of a cheeky little example, but that's what employers do. You do not pull out, I'm leaving commissions on the table, I'm doing this and that, this is gonna hurt me, until the very end, until the offer comes in, all right? Then you use that when you're at the negotiating table, because you are now a team. You're either both gonna win or you're both gonna lose. So if I care about you, I'm gonna factor in that you're gonna be away from your family. That's kind of painful for him. Let me give him some combat pay, so to speak, right? The salesperson's going to be leaving a commission on the table that they know they're going to be getting for the next 6 months. Oh, this person here who I want to hire in December isn't going to get her bonus on January 2nd, but I need her to start on December 31st, kind of thing. All right, well, all right, then I'm gonna try to make retribution for that so I can get you because we're a team. So, does it matter one iota? Not in the beginning, not 80% of the way through. But when you're 99% there, or let's say 90, right, it's going to matter if you know how to use it. This is really important. It's really important that you know that. But you need to understand that whole picture. Carlos, that's a fantastic question, and I think Stacy's going to love it because that's going to be a fantastic clip. That's going to help a lot of people. So I appreciate you, buddy. I hope that helps. Catherine Ferrari, what's the good word? And Stacy, hey to you. Sorry we haven't talked this week, but I'm back. Tom Phillips, my boot camper, and Patty T, my boot camper. Great to see you. And Kara and Jeff, my boot camper, and Vanessa, my mini boot camper. What do we got here? Deepak. Deepak from Seattle. I'm preparing for Director of Engineering interview. Awesome. Good luck. Question, how will I prepare for technical presentation on a hypothetical problem? Okay. This is really good. So when you are in a technical interview, there's a couple of things that you want to do beforehand and a couple of things you want to do during. Beforehand, now, I would say to you, generally speaking, not always, generally, that if you're going into a director of engineering position or you're going into a whatever, or you're going into a software development position or whatever, most of the time, the technical interviews are going to center around things you know. They should. They're interviewing you to do something. They're assuming you have the goods. They're just making sure most of the time. Now, what I would do is I always, whenever I prepare a talk for you, I don't always know what questions you're going to ask. In fact, I never know what questions you're going to ask, although I have a guess because you all have the same issues. But you ask them in different ways. There's slightly different problems. There's slightly different adjustments. Carlos's salary thing was different than the way other people have asked me, that kind of stuff. You're going to get a technical question. It could be slightly different than what you're used to. I have mental representations of everything that needs to be done in every section of the job search or anything that I teach on for that matter. So what I do is I always have an outline in my head or an approach upon which I'm going to, number one, give you an answer, and number two, give you the content within the answer. So it's basically I have an outline. I have an outline in my head. It's pre-built for everything you ask me. So when you go into an interview, you want to make sure that you have pre-built outlines for the technical stuff that you do. If you're a project manager and you're going to go in and they're going to ask you how you would run a project, you have a technical outline that says, I'm going to figure out what the business problem is. I'm going to get the requirements from the stakeholders. I'm going to design it. I'm architect it. I'm going to design it. I'm going to develop it. I'm going to test it, right? Program it, test it, quality assurance test it, and so on. There's an outline, a framework, a mental representation of everything that you do. All right, now, when you get into the interviews, you want to show them your work. You want to explain your representations to them, your outline. Here's how I would approach this. Now, if it's dialogue, you want to speak it out loud. Well, I would do 7 things to implement that. I would do this, 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 and this. For the first one, here's how I would approach it, right? That's a way that I would go about doing that. Now, if they ask you a question about how you would do something for a technology or a solution for which you've never done, first thing you got to take some comfort in is you probably don't have it on your resume, right? So if they're asking you how would you implement this version of this product or what would you do, then you need to say, well, I don't have experience with that yet, but I've worked with these other products, draw your analogy, and I'm assuming the approach is going to be very similar. That is, boom, 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 outline mental representations of those things, and then you fill them in. And then what you can do is you can say, well, whenever I'm faced with, so then you want to cover not just your approach, but then you want to cover your attitude and your effort. So whenever I'm faced with something that I encounter that I've never done before, here's how I would get up to speed on implementing that. And you give them your little outline for your education of yourself. So that's the way that you do that. By the way, all right, wait, Stacy, cut the thing there. And I hope that helps, Deepak. By the way, just so you guys know, I mean, I have a whole list of announcements, but one thing that I am going to do on November 11th. So Thursday live office hours is off that day, but I am still available to you because I'm doing a LinkedIn careers talk with one of the senior editors from LinkedIn. They're going to interview me. It's going to be on interviewing and how to answer any kind of interview question and a bunch of other stuff, and you'll all be invited. Hopefully you're on my email list. You'll get the memo when we start circulating it, but you can always check the Mile Walk Academy calendar of live events and check that out. I hope Kara added it, or maybe not, but it's going to be Thursday, November 11th. So I hope that helps. Sokolov 14, hi to you, and Rufino from Spain. Jeremy Huggins, how you doing, buddy? I think you sent me your story. I've been so busy the last couple of weeks, especially with traveling, and I haven't had a chance to get to it, but I will very soon. Nick Cranston from the UK. Just wanted to thank you. Use your speculative letter template and many of your other tips and accepted a job. But can we give Nick, Nick, I want to put you up here. I wish you had your picture I wish you all had your pictures in your little circles there, because I love seeing your faces and it gives me memory of who you are. But Nick, can we all give Nick a high 10 and a big shout out for his new job? If you're loving this, make sure you click the thumbs up button and make sure you subscribe to the channel because I have loads coming in. All right, how we doing here? L. Archibald, how are you, my boot camper? Let me see. Gordy's, yeah, I love this place. So I did a triathlon in Fontana. It was an Olympic, and then I went and I did the half Ironman a couple weeks later. And this is the bar right where I ended, and we ran right into the bar, and we're drinking right after. Okay, let me see. Taj from UAE, great to have you. Health and safety engineer, I love it. Sergio, great to see you. And Michael McLean, Michael McLean, Roger Fennell is retiring. I got to watch the video. I hope you caught it. But you're on the beach. You guys are great. Dewey, what do we got here, my boot camper? Andy, how do you build your resume for the job you want? Something that we can learn fast on the job, but do not have the experience. Most employers want to hire somebody ready to work. Well, they all want to hire somebody ready to work. What I think you meant is they always want to hire somebody who can walk in the door and do the job right now. So somebody who is ready-made. And what I would do there, Dewey, is when you don't have the specific areas of expertise, the hard skills we call them, the specific business function or technology product or whatever it might be, selling this kind of widget, marketing that kind of digital asset, whatever it is. You want to figure out what types of capabilities, the foundational abilities that make you great at whatever you're doing, and what those are. So a great project manager, for example, they might be looking for somebody who's implemented this customer relationship management solution by this software vendor, and maybe you don't have that. Maybe you've implemented other technology products related to that, or maybe you've implemented other customer solutions or something similar, or maybe not. But every project manager is going to have an ability to what? Recognize and evaluate the scope of the solution, figure out what the business problem is and how to solve it, understand processes, understand organization, know how to put a work plan together, know how to communicate with executives or stakeholders, know how to facilitate sessions, know how to manage a team. All these other things are capabilities that transcend the specificity of that particular job. So you're asking me about, well, how do I build my resume? You have to build the resume by highlighting the fact that you have these abilities or capabilities, I like to call them, that are not specific to that particular position, but would make you a good whatever you are, project manager, seller, marketer, accountant, and so on. And that's how you do that. So I would also check out the Career Changer session in your boot camp, in the job search coaching program that you have access to. All right, hey, what? I'm 24 down. I want to make a couple of announcements. This is a no joke sale we got rolling, and it ends tomorrow in less than 24 hours. If you're on my email list, you know I got the resume writing workshop on special. It's normally $297. It's on special for 49 bucks. This is it. I haven't run this special since October 2020. I'm not running it again until October 2022. So it expires tomorrow. Last Wednesday, I did a live show with you. That live show was the first segment where I showed you an insider's view to how somebody looks at your resume, the psychology behind resume writing, and all that good stuff. If you want the entire workshop, you get all the assets to build the resume, and you get some extra Q&A sessions with well over 200, like 250 commonly asked resume questions, which I've answered. You also get to join me tomorrow for a private session on all things resume writing. I think every one of these I answer somewhere between 60 and 70 questions, so I'm going to get to you. Now, the one thing that we've been getting a number of questions throughout the week. First off, is this for real? It is for real, and I've gotten a few of those, and those always make me chuckle. But it's one $49 payment. That's it. You can keep it forever. And I often upgrade it. So one $49 payment, no subscriptions. You can keep it forever, and you can join me. And you can join me tomorrow. So you can get it now. You can go through the whole thing before tomorrow, and then you can come to the resume session and ask me your questions. And if you can't make it tomorrow at 11 my time, we record it for you and we drop it in your product. When you do join, if you join, maybe Kara can put or Stacy or whoever can put the link in my in the chat. When you join, you're going to get a welcome email. The welcome email is going to have a button to RSVP or a link, and however Kara set that up, and just click it, and then you'll sign up for the Zoom session. We'll do tomorrow's session via Zoom. So I want to make sure that you know that, and if you are in the resume workshop and you paid your 49 bucks, or you own any of our other products that are job searching related, if you want to join the mega program, the job search coaching program, that's what you see with these boot camper hashtags, my job search, we used to call it the job search boot camp. We will give you an upgrade to a special price, which is $497. You get all your credit. The $49 is credit. If you've paid $97 for the interview collection, we give you that credit too. So if you would like to upgrade, for some of you that have already been in the workshop all week and you already wrote your resume and you think it's fantastic, email us at support and Kara will give you upgrade links so you don't overpay. And the other thing is, if you're not in any of these programs and you're interested in getting in my job search coaching program, Kara will give you $100 off if you email support@milewalk.com. I'm usually pretty friendly about that. Because I don't want to gouge you, I want to help you. So, but obviously I need to run a business, and I hope you understand that. But I think $500 is a song for what you get. That's lifetime access. That's lifetime attendance at the private group coaching sessions. It's online support. It's all the assets. It's forever. So anyway, I wanted to make mention of that. And Kara's throwing me a couple more here. I've combined a couple here from the same person. I'm thinking up for signing up for the discounted program. Will I get one-on-one help? My resume is a mess right now. I need help filling in gaps, which I took years off to care for my autistic son. Okay, so first thing is BI3SS3DLYF. Maybe there's a couple of you. Sorry to hear about your son, but hope he's doing well. It's great that you were able to take some years off and help him. It's not. It really is not a major hindrance. This life happens to all of us. We take care of sick parents. We go on round the world traveling cruises. We take side turns. Sometimes life just comes at us with a curveball. We can help you with all of that. I can answer your questions. The one-on-one help, I do resume reviews. They're $500, but you have to be in one of my major programs that teaches you how to write your resume. We give you very specific instructions. That's an additional cost. And the one-on-one help can be in terms of one-on-one coaching, live. Sometimes people want to get together live and talk about resume writing, interviewing, storytelling, and how all that works together. We do it that way. Some people just want me to edit their resume. Those are separate services, and each one of those are different prices depending on who you are. But I do offer that if you need it. But what I would do is, if you're unclear about any of that, email support@milewalk.com and Kara will clarify that. And then is tomorrow the only live session? I just want to make sure I'm doing things right. Been to several master classes and resume services as well, but everyone tells me different ways to fix my resume. I understand this completely. There are a lot of different ways of doing things. There are effective ways of doing things that we don't all subscribe to the same philosophy. I give you mine, but I will explain to you why I want you to do anything I tell you. So I will give you rationales, and you can think about them and see if you agree or not. But I won't just tell you to do something. I'll tell you exactly why I want you to do it. Now, if you are in the resume writing workshop, tomorrow is the only scheduled live session we have. It's a bonus session for this special $49 sale. I wanted to throw you a little something extra. That's what that is. If you are in the job search coaching program, for example, in November, like as in a couple of weeks, we have 4 live coaching sessions that you can come to. That's pretty mega. We're doing a lot of coaching sessions in November for people who are in my job search coaching program. Those people get somewhere between 2 to 3 dozen coaching sessions on an ongoing basis annually, and they can come to any and all of them forever. No subscription. It's a one-time payment of $500, $497. We will give it to you for. So if you are in the resume program and you're buying it at this very discounted price, this $49, tomorrow is your session. If you can't make it, you can always catch the replay. If you want ongoing support, you can get into the job search coaching program. I have various levels. I mean, and normally the resume workshop is $300. I give it to you. We give you all the templates, and you're on your own. But the job search coaching program, I'm pretty much with you every step of the way, because I'm not just with you online as you go through it, because we give you support, online support, but I also do the live coaching sessions. And every month we have at least 1, sometimes 2, sometimes 4. You know, in October, for example, people in the job search coaching program got to come to their private session. They got to come to an extra leadership bonus coaching session. They get to come to the resume workshop session tomorrow, and then I'm going to see them 4 times in the next couple of weeks. So it's a pretty good deal, that one, and it's forever, because I know a lot of coaches, they charge you thousands of dollars to come for like 4-week and 8-week group coaching sessions. I don't do that. I think that's nonsense. I really do. You want to pay that much money, you can get with me one-on-one. So I hope that helps. Whoever asked those great questions, by the way. Lou. I hear you. Owned my own companies last 25 years, and I'm in the job market at 50, having a rough time. People don't seem to want to hire former business owners or CEOs. Lou, you can't believe how many sessions I have every single month with somebody just like you, who's about your age, who's been running their own business. Everything from lawn care to outplacement services to manufacturing, parts, health services. Like it can be done if you know how to package up your experience and you know how to tell the story. So your name is new to me, but I would really encourage you to look in at the job search coaching program. Kara, you know what? Can you make a note for me? Or Stacy, somebody make a note. We have a lot of testimonials from people that fit Lou's demographic, meaning, you know, running my own business, and now I'm fully employed with a new company. And we had a guy from St. Louis, Joe, awesome guy, and he was struggling just like you. We had a one-on-one session. He got 4 offers, and then we had another session to negotiate 2 of the offers, and then he picked one. So, I mean, we have a lot of these stories that we probably should add to the wall of fame so that guys like Lou can see them. So just make a note that I want to do this, I don't want to forget to do that. Salima, how are you? See, I love the picture. I did a panel interview for a job I was excited about, but although it lasted 1 hour, they only gave me 3 minutes to ask questions at the end. Is that a bad sign? Salima, here's, interviewing by Andy Philosophy 101. In every session that you have, it is your primary goal to sell yourself. If they gave me no minutes to ask any questions of my own and they gave me 60 minutes to sell myself, that would be okay with me. Now, yes, you're interviewing them, but I look at so here's something I need you guys to get this down cold. When you start an interviewing process, Salima, I don't know where you were in the interviewing process. I know it's a panel interview, so it wasn't number one. Let's say you go into an interview process and you got a screen with a recruiter and you can't get all your questions asked. That's okay. I think about the whole chessboard, right? Move your pawn out first and off you go. I got the whole game to get everything I need, and I'm setting myself up for success because I'm going to win and I'm going to get a job offer. If they can't answer my questions in each of the sessions, that's okay. I'll ask the ones that I can. I'll prioritize the ones that I can, and I will keep going and I will keep selling myself. If we get down to the end and you do not have all your questions answered, that's okay. You tell them, hey, they say, hey, Salima, you're awesome. We want to give you an offer. Are you receptive? You say yes. Say, but I have some additional questions. I'd love to get these answered before we wrap everything up, but I don't want that to hold up the offer. You're welcome to package that up, but I'm wondering if maybe I could carve out some time to either talk to, and then whoever's appropriate, maybe it's the hiring official, maybe you want to go talk to one of the other team members, maybe you want to go back and the recruiter can knock some of these out. Okay, then listen, you do not want to slow down the sale because you want the offer, but you want to get your questions answered. There's not a company out there that will not give you the time to answer your questions, because why? If you take a job and you do not have all your questions answered, you're coming in with some blind spots, and what I don't need is you being there a week saying, oh my God, this isn't what I thought I was signing up for, right? So employers know that it's penal for them if you're unhappy after you start. They've spent a lot of time in the interview process. You're now getting up to speed and getting trained. So you just ask for those questions. Now, is it a bad sign? It's a better sign if they carve out time and they say, we'd love to give you 10 minutes or 15 minutes or half an hour to answer your questions. But if they don't you sweat it. Think about, I got the whole interview process. The reason you want to sell yourself is because you do not want them ejecting you from the process early. Who cares if you get down to the end and you got questions still to ask? So what? I don't want to be worrying about fighting for time to ask my questions over here, because then I'm losing time to sell myself. Now you could make an argument, as I do often, that when you ask questions, you're selling yourself. But I would rather be selling, and then when given the time to ask questions, whether that's 90 seconds or 9 minutes or 15 minutes, I'm gonna ask intelligent questions that's gonna help me sell myself. So that's how I would approach that. But I just think better and more well-structured interviewing processes accommodate time in each interview to ask questions. But if you're in a panel interview where there's a lot of people that are trying to get insight from you, it's not surprising that you don't have a ton of time to ask a lot of questions. So I don't think that's a hugely bad sign. It would be better if they did, but I wouldn't sweat it. So I hope that helps. And this is a great one. Muhajid, do you answer queries in the resume workshop, or do we have to just see your videos and prepare your resumes by ourselves? So in the resume workshop, because it's a low-cost product, I give you all the training. I give you all the templates. We give you the samples. I give you the sample instruction. Inside the Word document template is all the instruction as well. You write your own resume from those videos. You certainly can come to the session on Friday and ask me your questions. We do not offer online support, and we do not offer ongoing live coaching for members of that program. Candidly, it's a premium effort required on my end, which is why we reserve it for people in the higher end program, where they can ask me questions online as they write their resume, and they can ask me questions in the live coaching sessions about their resume. And they do. So let's draw a distinction between a $49 product, even a $297 product, and a $500 product. So that's why those additional services are reserved for the premium end product. Honestly, I mean, I know it's kind of silly, but I would go broke if I was answering everybody's questions, because there's thousands upon thousands of people in that program. And so I do answer a lot of questions every single day from people in the premium program, but just I hope you appreciate the difference there. By the way, one other thing, because I haven't played this up enough. Inside the resume workshop, the templates are much deeper. The resume content builders, the other things that you're getting are so much deeper than what you see in the public domain that, you know, the sample sentence structure and all that stuff just requires you to structure the bullet the way I give you the sample and then drop your stuff in. And I write all that for you. So it's pretty deep. It's pretty deep. Cosmic Girl. Is it true that Udemy oh wait, let's get this up. Is it true that Udemy courses are not taking into consideration I was building up my skills with some courses and got scared after hearing that they might be frowned upon? I don't frown upon them. I just don't give you a lot of credit. To me, you can go get a book. You can go get anything and get as much value as a lot of those courses. A lot of those courses are $9, $1, $30, and that's basically what you're gonna glean from them. So if you've got certifications, things that are highly, highly respected, that put you above the line, so to speak, than people who don't, then those are given credit for. But the stuff that's on that, you will never see. Go ahead and loop this back if this ever happens, and you can laugh at me. You will never see one of my courses on that platform because of how it's structured, how it's marketed, and all that good stuff. I'm not saying that you shouldn't go and learn things from them. You're asking me about, am I given credit in anything, in my job, in my promotion, in my new job by a new employer? And I would say that it is very, very rare that anybody would care. That's just a flat out truth. It is. So sorry to disappoint you there, but I would not be. I would be taking those courses for my own benefit, and I don't know that I would even put them on my resume. Just like, see those books back there? I read them and I study them and I mark them up and all that stuff. I knocked those 3 out. I don't know. I'm just about finished with the bottom one. I wouldn't, that's just your own personal development to me. Sergio, should I put a gig economy and personal caregiver jobs to fill in gaps in a resume? There's nothing wrong with that. If you don't feel that experience is, if you're doing it just to fill gaps, you might want to not do that. And then up in the career profile, put held personal caregiving jobs during, and then insert the gaps right in the career profile, right at the bottom of it, in the last sentence, second paragraph. That's your explanation. That's all you need to do. That's all I would do. Salima, I'm guessing we're going back to the panel interview. They also asked me to turn on my camera during the interview, but they didn't keep theirs on after the intro. I therefore couldn't read their body language. Do you have any tips? Okay. This issue really bothers me. Okay, now, you asked me previously because they only gave you 3 minutes at the end of the interview, is that a bad sign or red flag? And I gave you a rationale on that. Now, in this situation, this really irritates me because it should be an even Steven thing, right? We want to mirror each other, right? If I'm interviewing you, when I interview somebody, when I interview them in my office, now this is back in the day when I was interviewing, I never sat on the other side of the desk. If it was a table and we were sitting across from each other and that was comfortable, that would be fine. But it was a table that you were at and I was at. If I didn't have one of those in my room, I would pull the chairs out and I would sit across from you with nothing in between us, kind of thing. The same thing should be done with a video interview. If they're going to do that, then just talk on a conference call. Or turn your camera off. I think that is That is a very bad sign. And it's not only not courteous, but I don't think it shows well for them. And half of the time, they're probably not paying attention to what you're saying. And what I would say is, would it be okay if you all turned your cameras on, or would it be okay then if I did what you did and turned my camera off? And if they said, well, we're going to turn ours off and we want you to leave yours on, I probably would hit the end button and quit. I'm not joking. Because do you want to work for a company like that? That's my feelings on that. This should be, remember, this is like your first date. This first dating, right? First months of dating in the interview process. This is like the best behavior you're going to see. And that's what they're showing you. And do you want to work for a company like that? Let's just leave it there. I think you get the gist. Those are great questions, by the way. Adam Stark, what's the good word? I had an interview today. However, I had no time to ask my questions. Is this bad? Do I wait for an offer and ask the rest? Also, how do you deal if they ask if the hours are okay? Same as salary. Okay, Adam, we covered this with Salima. So I answered your first part. And for anybody who's just joined us, Adam had an interview, didn't have time to ask questions. It's not a great sign. It's not the end of the world. You wait for the offer, you can ask the rest, or if you have additional interviews before you get the offer, try to piece them in. Okay, so that's that. How do you deal with if they ask if the hours are okay? I'm not sure if your hours are odd. I know you're in event planning. So I don't know if that means, hey, we're working Saturdays and Sundays, or we're working this and that. That is a good thing for them to ask you, because if you do not have a regular schedule, like, hey, it's 8 to 5, 8 to 6, 9 to 5, 9 to 6, and all that, I do want them to ask you if the hours are okay. Now, if they're asking you, well, how do you feel about working 80 hours a week, then you're getting into different issues. But I hope that clarifies that. By the way, all right, let me. I want to give you some announcements here, because I got more announcements. Man, I got a lot of stuff going. All right. Resume workshop, drop dead tomorrow, drop dead date and time, 11 a.m. You know you're going to get an email from me in the morning. I'm going to remind you, but I don't want you to miss it. Speaking of email, the email provider that we use to send you guys the weekly digests and the emails like this, for whatever reason, and this is not Mile Walk specific, Yahoo email addresses are probably not getting any emails from us. There's some issue with Yahoo right now and this service provider, and they've been notifying us, but it's been going on for a couple of weeks. So if you have a Yahoo email address and you are interested in any of this stuff and you feel like, Andy, where's the love? I'm not getting your emails. Email support@milewalk.com. All right. Private group coaching session tomorrow at 11. That's for my boot campers and my resume writers. Okay. If you got to be in the program to join me at 11. If you're not sure about RSVPing or whatever, email support. Okay, I mentioned I'm here next week, live office hours, regularly scheduled show like this. Following Thursday, I'm with LinkedIn Career Talks. You're all invited. We'll send you a message about this. And I think it might be just a slightly different time, maybe an hour later, something like that. On the 15th of November, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, Job Search Challenge. I'm going to show you the whole program, 5 days. That's case studies, the product, Q&A, all the good stuff. That's a $300 product. I'm unlocking that for your viewing pleasure. Everybody's invited. If you register for it, we'll send out the registration later. If you register, we give you the workbook, we give you all the stuff to follow along, we give you all the goodies. Okay, so, and I'll have update videos and all kinds of stuff about additional stuff that you can learn, why things are important, why I want you to do certain things. All that stuff's going to come to email. Like, it's a whole shebang. It's a whole week. You guys need to know how to do this. It is the best time to job search right now. Get the resume in order. Grab the damn $49 thing if you're not in any of my programs, and then come to the Job Search Challenge for free. And then I'll teach you how to circulate that sucker and what you need to be doing. And we're going to go through what the challenge is, how you identify companies, how you target people, what messages to send them, all the problems you're going to have, and then how to overcome them. It's the whole week. And then after some of the sessions during the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, private session with my boot campers. And then on Wednesday before Thanksgiving, I want to have another session with my boot campers and people who are in that program. Check the Mile Walk Academy calendar if you're ever wondering. All right, so just wanted to get those in. Let me see. We got another resume workshop question. Currently, this is Muhajid, I think it is. Currently work as a network admin. Awesome. Would like to shift to a PM position. So where should I focus on while preparing my resume? Will your workshop help me with this? So there's a couple things you can do. Number one, the workshop's going to help you write a good resume. Great resume for that matter. I also can answer your questions if you join me tomorrow and help you with more detail. I also have a career changer playlist, that's on YouTube. Just go watch that, which will help you with some of this. Now, if you're in my boot camp, the $497 product, the big product, well, then you can ask me all the questions you want live, and you can ask me all the questions you want in the system. And we have a career changer module. I take you through the formula that I used to change careers successfully twice. There's 4 phases of a change, and there's 12 steps that you need to go through to do that change successfully. I teach you all of that. That's in the job search coaching program. That's the big product. So I hope that clarifies that. All right. Rachel, Robichaud, Dorothy. That is quite the number of letters there. Great to have you. In the USA is a middle name that indicates ethnic but not racial diversity, beneficial to share, or harmful at mid-senior level in the Mid-Atlantic. Okay, I'm going to give you something naked and true because I'm not going to lie to you. All right? So I'm going to give you a couple of different scenarios here. Number one, on the one hand, let's just be honest, I don't speak for everybody. The way I process the world is rare, and not everybody processes it the way I do or you do. And in some cases, I would just say, well, a middle name probably doesn't do a whole lot other than muck up the applicant trashing system. Okay, it doesn't parse it right. Now, what some people will do is, they'll put a nickname like Andy, and then they'll have an Asian name or an Indian name or something really long that they don't go by in the US because they want to make it easier for everybody to know and just call them Joe or Andy or Jimmy or whatever. Now, none of that bothers me because I'm not a prejudiced guy, and I've grown up in an environment since I was a child where we had every color from every place you can imagine, and that's normal to me, okay? And I appreciate it, and I just love people, all right? Now, I worked as an executive recruiter for somebody who said to me, I'm not going to give you the heritage, but she said, Andy, if you in a leadership program bring me a one of these, meaning a person from this country, I'm not going to hire them. Okay, I can't do anything about that, right? But she at least told me. Now I understand she has prejudices in those situations. I wanted to understand why. I told her I did not find that to be the case with the people that I work with from that country, and so on. There's people out there who are like that. You know this, right? If anybody's telling you no, they're lying to you. So that's the way I see the world. Now, if you put a middle name that is ethnic but not racial, I don't know what that means. I mean, you have a name that is recognizably a particular ethnicity. That doesn't bother me in the least. And as a matter of fact, I appreciate that you're giving me the name. I don't think you need to use a middle name on your resume. I recommend that you don't. I recommend that just for cleanliness sake, not for prejudice or bias sake. So I would, just put Andrew LaCivita, right? I don't think you need Jane something Smith if that's not your, if that's not what you go by. If you're a woman and you happen to hyphenate your name, or you happen to go by, your first name, your maiden name, your married name, and you want to do that, that's fine too. I don't have an issue with any of that stuff. So those are my thoughts, and I feel it's important that you understand that everybody's different in the world and how they process this stuff. And while I'd love to say we live in a bias-free, prejudice-free world, that's just not true. So that's what I would say to you there. And in the U.S., It isn't about where you are in the US or the fact that you are in the US. I would say that, I would make that statement about anywhere in the world. Just, you're going to run into people like that. But I would not be concerned. And if you want to put your middle name in your resume, I would do that. And if somebody's prejudiced, you know that's not a place you want to be. That's how I see it. That's a great, great question. It really is. Thank you for that one. All right. Let me see. Any other questions about any of the schedule stuff, any of the programs, any of the freemiums, any of the premiums? Let me know that, because I want to make sure I can answer them before we hop off. Heel Eagle. That's a new one on me. What should the resume structure look like, top half, first page, after a return to college in mid-40s? Industry change from distribution management to healthcare management after vocational rehab. Here's what you could do. You do a couple things. And I'm assuming what you mean is, all right, I'm going to assume you go to the Andy LaCivita School of Resume Writing. So if you guys don't know what that is, just go download my resume, free resume template, and you'll get the layout. There's a career profile, there's career highlights, there's a professional experience section or work experience. Call it whatever you want. You can call any of these titles anything you want. And then at the bottom, education and so on. Okay? That's 90% of you can use that format, assuming you are an experienced worker like Heel Eagle is. If you're out of school a year or two, you still use that format. Okay? You're a pro now. Now, remember what I said about a resume. Is a marketing document, not a work history document. Okay, Heel Eagle wants to market him or herself from distribution management to healthcare management after vocational rehab. Okay, so they want to make a career change. Cool. What markets you better? You can do one of a couple things. You can still have the career profile, and at the end of the second paragraph, you can put recently attained MS, MBA, BS, whatever, in healthcare management from whatever it is. Okay, 2021. Great. Oh, okay. They went back to school, got the degree. That ought to do it. Go in the highlights, go in the professional experience. Or you can make an educational section below the career profile and talk about how you just went back to school. I would only do that. I would only do that if you had other things that you did as part of that education, like if you went and had to do an internship, if you did a practicum or something that gave you additional work experience in relation to that. Because other than that, if I see the degree, you have to realize what the mind does when it sees things at the top that look unique in a resume. That, believe me, I could close my eyes and feel the heat map of the resume when I look at one. I could find everything I need to, because that's going to look different inside that summary, and it will immediately come out. What do I tell you about interview stories, right? When you're speaking and something interrupts a pattern, it's noticed. It's the same thing when a trained recruiter looks at a resume. That's why all that filler nonsense and word vomit and all those things that don't say anything, that's why that makes them roll their eyes. You put something like you recently attained a whatever in whatever at from, boom, I'm going to see that. It's going to stick out. It's like it's bolded, but you don't need to bold it, okay? So that's a way you can do it. Or, you can make the education section, move it up top, and pull that out and say, I recently attained this. And they know, oh, that's code for I want to make a career change. Because you didn't go back to school for nothing, especially if it's in a different area. If you're an IT person and you went and you had a BS in IT systems or computer information systems, and you went recently and you got your master's degree, it's not going to really change anything. Right? I understand it's the same stream. That's a great, great question. I really like that. I really do. Joe Lazeski, my good man, is here. Marty Lau, my boot camper, how you doing? How do I determine what companies, roles to target? How do I determine my requirements? Are you pulling these, Kara, from... Okay, let me see. Hold on a second. Let me get... hang on, I want a couple things because Keith doesn't have a question, but I want to tell people what Keith asked me about. All right, wait, let me see. Joe Lazeski, my brother, followed the resume tips format. Can I get a review of it from you as part of the resume workshop? If you're in the resume workshop and you've paid the $49 and you've gone through it, or you tell me, I've got it in your format, will you review it? I will review it, and it's just a separate service. But folks, trust me when I tell you, this is not specific to Joe. If you don't follow the pointers I give you, what happens in the resume review is I'm kicking it back, asking you questions because you didn't give me the raw data to work with. Okay, and if you have fragments that don't have any explanation, or it's just activities based or whatever, I'm going to say, what happened? What was the benefit? No, don't tell me it was several $1,000s. Give me a number, right? Like, you're going to get a lot of that back. So I want you to go through the instruction. And if you go through the instruction, I will review it as part of a separate service. If you're in either the resume workshop or you're in the boot camp or you're in my job search coaching program, I will do that. And then let's see, DZ, what is it? 95 Legend, boot camper, excellent. Joined 2 weeks ago, and I'm just digging at this. At this point, do I need the resume writing program? All the boot campers, you already have the resume writing program. You boot campers, you have everything. So you have a main boot camp product, and I took the resume program and I put it inside your boot camp product. You do not, all you boot campers that keep paying us the $49, we keep returning your money. So don't make us return the money, because I pay the charges. I pay the charges when you charge. When you charge it, I pay the credit card fees. When I return it, I pay the credit card fees. Don't cost me money. You guys don't realize how much money that is. All right, wait, Marty Lau, how do I determine what company's roles to target? How do I determine my requirements? Marty Lau, go through module 1 to determine, you're in the boot camp, module 1 to determine your requirements. I spell it all out. I give you the spreadsheet. I give you all that stuff. You can add to it, or what you'll be doing is taking a lot of it away. And then how do I determine what companies and roles to target? That's based on your requirements and what you're interested in, and that is in module 3 in the first session, the main session. Go there for those answers. You have that in nauseating detail. All right, hang on. I want to give you guys some insight into something one of my beloved boot campers, Keith, I call him Mr. 97, he asked me a question this morning, or yesterday I think it was, and he was approached by a firm that wanted a recruitment firm, outplacement services firm, a firm that is targeting him as a job seeker. Okay, this is not a recruitment firm calling him to say, we would like to, we have an opportunity, we would like to interview you and see if you're a fit for this opportunity that we have with one of our clients. This is a firm that wants him to pay money to help him find a job, because they either say they have a big database of clients that they can match you with, and they will work really hard to match you with those clients, but you have to pay me $5,000, $8,000, $10,000, $1,000, whatever it is. Or we will do things on your behalf to expedite this process as it relates to combing things, finding things, and so forth. These firms are total scams. Number one, they don't do any personal matching. They have companies that they've arranged contracts with where those companies will pay them if they hire somebody whose resume they send them. What they often do is they take you and your money, they create a form letter, they create a form resume, and they blitz it out into the world. I get many of these every single day that come into my inbox that are all formatted left to right justified. They're block justified. They're ridiculous looking, and I just hit delete every time, and I keep sending them nasty grams to stop doing this. They're not anybody that I would ever look at. They're for real estate people. They're for construction people. They're all kinds of nonsense. But what they do is they either spray them out to people that they don't know, or they spray them out to companies who are paying money to them in the event that they hire somebody, and those companies are paying a paltry amount because those firms are getting their money from you, and they're not doing any personal service. They're just spraying. Okay, now if they say they're going to give you insight into data and contacts and other stuff, what they're likely doing is they do not actually have relationships with those companies. They're giving you names from data sources they're using, like Hoover's or whatever, D&B and all those data IRI, all those data-based organizations. And it's like Andrew LaCivita is the CEO at Milewalk. His contact information is this, because they've combed these sites and they're just going to give them to you. And there's not going to be a sense of order. My message to you is, if you are really interested in this stuff, then I would find people who actually would speak as references for them. And I think you're going to be hard pressed to find them. I can't believe these companies are in business. So just be really, really careful. You as a job seeker should never pay somebody to handle you into an organization. That's different than enrolling in a coach or coaching services who is going to prepare you, coach you, and stuff that are going to give you the tools to do it on your own. Okay, it's a huge difference. All right, so Keith, that was more color on what you were asking me this morning that I didn't want to get to all in the email at 5 a.m. or whenever I sent it to you. All right, let me see. What do we got here? This is BI3SS3D, LYF3. Autism Kids Family TV Shows for Kids. Oh, that's your handle. That's right. You had the son. I'm thinking of signing up for the discount program. Will I get one-to-one help? Okay, so I already answered that one. So hopefully that covered that. Charlie Pace, interviewed for a PM position. Job description had no mention of strategy. Phone screen, no mention of strategy. Second interview was all about strategy. Seemed like a different position. Do I ask recruiter for clarification? Charlie and everybody. Great, fantastic question. Immediately, I'm going to make a general statement. You guys have got to get comfortable with this. Whenever you encounter something that isn't what you expect, that's not to say you were right in your expectations. Maybe you were wildly wrong. Doesn't make any difference. They say something that you didn't anticipate, surprised you, right? We had Joseph earlier with the QA position, right? Surprised you. Immediately ask for clarification. So is strategy part of the role? I didn't notice that in the job description. I just want a clarification. Is this right? Can you clarify? Maybe they had a position. They decided that they want to roll in these additional responsibilities. Maybe they only threw it out because they noticed your background. And again, you might be able to do more than they originally planned. You don't know. You got to ask. How did you determine that? Why is that? I didn't notice this before. Is that part of the role? Yes, it is part of the role. Is that something new? Or is that something based on what you've seen in my background? Ask these things. Boom. The knee ought to go up, right? Like you should have that reaction at everything that you're not certain or is a surprise. Because that's going to give you the intel for how to market yourself. This is really important. This is on-the-fly stuff that you got to know how to do. If you're receiving new information, something that was not clear, then either you didn't know it and you should have seen it, you missed it, it was there. But if it really wasn't there and you're confident, then you start asking, is that something you decided? Why? Oh, it seems like you're changing the position to a bit more senior. Is that based on my background, or is that just you were hoping to find some? Ask this stuff. Great question there, buddy. I would, so first off, I would not do anything that was outside the normal course of the interviewing process, meaning, so let me add this to Charlie's question. The stuff I'm saying, some of you are going, I wish I had that, information yesterday, right? So now what? You don't do anything differently. Don't go call them. Don't go ask them. Don't go email them. In the course of your process, meaning your next interview or your next interaction live, say, strategy came up a couple times. I just wanted to understand and then ask, right? You do it as part of the normal process. Don't make a whole effort out of it to come in with something that would be outside the normal process of your communication. Okay, it makes you look like you're slow on the uptake. Okay, so don't do that. But I hope that helps. This is a great one from BI3SS3D. I really wish you would give me your name. Do stay-at-home moms count on the resume? It does, but this is how I would mention stay-at-home mom. By the way, the resume workshop has all this in it, like all the exceptions, gaps, stay-at-home moms, military vets, people coming out of their own businesses. I address all that. It's actually in the program already. So stay-at-home moms is like any other gap. If you have a gap that you are currently in, let's say, okay, so two scenarios, and take out stay-at-home mom and add I traveled the world, add whatever. If there's a gap in the middle of the resume, so 2007 to 2010 you worked, 2010 to 2015 you were a stay-at-home mom, 2015 to present you got a job. What you do in your profile, in the career profile, performed family care during 2010 to 2015. Boom, end of story, all done. If you're currently a stay-at-home parent or mom or dad or whatever, caring for your parents, whatever it is, returning to workforce after caregiving between 2019 to present. Okay, all this stuff is very simple. You do not want to over-explain in the resume, but what you did is you clarified, oh, there's the gap. That's why I have the gap. Now I don't need to talk about it. You're ready to roll. You're ready to roll. If I'm interviewing you, I'm good to go. If I see your resume, I have I'm going to go based on the other stuff on the resume. So that's great. That's a great question. Sarah, my new boot camper, 52 years young. I love it. I'm wondering about, in the career profile section of the resume, if it's not directly relevant to my pivot and I may need to take a lower position. That's okay. Just say, I'm wondering about the number of years in the career profile section. I'm wondering, so there's two ways to put the number of years in. You can say, I'm such and such with over, 30 years of experience or 30 years of experience or 20 years of experience or whatever you want. Or you can say, such and such with over 25 years of experience with 10 years experience in financial services, blah, blah, blah. Right, so you can siphon out, but I would make sure your resume includes the stuff that you feel are relevant for whatever it is you're changing to. Because positions that you had previously, even all the way back 30 years, could be applicable to what you're changing. I would have an additional experience section at the bottom and pull forward into that. And you don't have to go contiguous, right? Like it could be just you pick the hodgepodge of what works and commingle it and throw it into the bottom. I do a lot of that in the resume stuff, like when I'm doing reviews and all that other stuff, and we have to go back and forth, and these are just some oddities. But I hope that helps there. All right, wait, couple things, because I gotta cut at 12:15. Resume workshop deadline tomorrow. Get in $49. Get it for yourself. Get it for your friend. Okay, that's it. Workshop's tomorrow at 11. Next week, I'm here at 11 Thursday. Following week, the 11th of Thursday, I'm with LinkedIn Career Talks. We're talking interviewing. The following week is the Job Search Challenge, the 15th through the 19th. We'll be sending you messages on that. I would sign up for it, especially if you don't have the Job Search Coaching Program, because you want the workbook and the other stuff, and you want to see this. If you're in the coaching program, you already have all this stuff in detail. So I'll be in your inbox Tuesday. Actually, I'll probably be in your inbox tomorrow about the resume program as a last call. And I think that's about it. Kara, did I miss anything? So before I hit the goodbye button, let me know if there's anything else. I do want to say thank you, number one, for being in my community. I mean, this stuff means the world to me. Every Thursday I write myself. It just makes me feel better to be with you. Second, anybody who met me in Florida, I love that. That was awesome. You guys are phenomenal. And the Clearwater folks and all the ones from Sarasota and Orlando and Boca, that made the truck, trucked over. I really appreciate that. I love you all. I'm so thankful that I got to meet you. and for all my boot campers and all the people in my programs and my leaders and all that good stuff and everybody in the community. I really hope you enjoy these shows as much as I enjoy bringing them to you. And I do hope you join me tomorrow. It's really, really, I tried to put it in your hands for such a discount that I made it a no-brainer. But do take me up on it because we only run the special once a year. All right, you guys, share this. If you didn't catch the session from last Wednesday, that comes down tomorrow. So that resume workshop, the first session, the insider's view, if you didn't catch that, make sure to watch it before it comes down because that comes down at 11 as well tomorrow. All right, you guys be good. I'll see you.